Do you think it's real? The Bulls? Do you think the Bulls?
This is a really, really great question. They're 6-4. They've won their last two. The Eastern Conference is so wide open. Like if they're playing a majority of their games against the Pacers and the Hornets, they go back and forth with the Celtics a bit, and they've got the Raptors and so forth. It's not inconceivable for them to be above the play-in and sit in the sixth position. Are they better than the 76ers and the Bucks for the whole year? I don't know. But at this stage of the competition, I think that they're probably outperforming the Heat a little bit. They certainly have the Raptors numbers. I'm waiting to see whether or not the Magic and the Hawks are going to rise up a little bit here. But I think they've
Yeah.
got a shot to avoid the play-in. This could be a really interesting first-round series. If you've got Chicago, you wouldn't really want to play against them. They've just got a lot of options.
There are some horrible teams in the NBA right now, Lorne. Like 3 teams with 1 win. That's insane.
Yeah, 3 teams with 1 win. We're 10 games into the season. And I got to say, I can't think of anything more demoralizing if you're a player than being one of those teams. And like just getting straight into it, I, if I was on the Pelicans right now, like they've got 2, but the Pelican, oh man, with such high hopes at the start of the season, bringing in a couple of guys that were on championship rosters in the past and thinking that they're going to get their splash party 2.0. It's just not happening. It's just not looking good for them, is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, obviously, like DeJounte Murray, he's still out. But every year there's this hype, like Zion Williamson, he's, the offseason, he's lost weight, he's more focused than ever, he's going to mature. And it just doesn't happen. Do you think
Do
their
you think
coach is in trouble?
do you think they're like DeJounte Murray away from being like a 50-50 team? Like, I wonder if the holes are a little bit bigger than this.
So where do they, I mean, this isn't a Pelicans podcast, but do you think they just need to blow it up? Just trade Zion?
I think this is where we talked about this last week, wondering whether or not the Zion experiment has come to its natural conclusion. And I think the evidence is just mounting in a super competitive Western Conference. You just, I mean, I hate to say it right now, but unless they're tanking and looking for good lottery odds, there's not a whole lot salvageable. Granted, you got 72 games left, but you're going to go up against like the Warriors, the Timberwolves, the Rockets, the Lakers on a nightly basis. I mean, even the Clippers and Jazz, we didn't see the Clippers is going to be that low in the 12th spot. The gap is way too big at the moment, I think.
Speaking of trades, can we just talk about the Dallas Mavericks here for a second? Because I mean, that trade is just looking worse and worse by the week. Like we've talked a little bit about Cooper Flagg and playing the point guard, but while Dallas has 2 wins, Luka is playing at an MVP level in LA, and I would just hate to be a fan of the Dallas Mavericks. You've got Klay Thompson, who's old, who seems like he doesn't really want to be there anymore. Shocking that Anthony Davis is injured already. Lively hasn't been playing. I mean, it's just a mess in Dallas.
Yeah, the news just gets worse and worse for those guys. I saw a rumor today that the Warriors were considering bringing back Klay Thompson for the nostalgia. I was just like, I don't think that's happening. I don't think there's any roster upgrade apart from like good vibes for having him back in the Bay. But that has got to be, a decision that he's kicking himself about. Like he'd gone over there hoping to play with Kyrie and hoping to play with Luka, perennial talents. And admittedly, they'd been in the finals the year before, right? And this poor guy, he pulls off this trade, he shoots himself in the foot, and the bad karma has just followed him over there, and it is not looking good. But I guess the question is, John, what do you do to save it? Who's taking Kyrie or AD at this stage of their careers with the massive contracts that they're on. And then who else are you moving? You'd like D'Angelo Russell. I think he's got to go. He's just such a high volume point guard in that system at the moment and is clogging things up. But who else? Like, how do you package his minimum deal with anybody else? Derek Lively and Gafford are just two really good bigs that you'd love to have. Like, if you have a healthy AD and those guys on a rotation, your front court is looking really nice and has proved itself. But those guys just can't stay on the court. So what do you do?
Yeah. I mean, Kyrie, they knew he was going to be injured. I just don't think they knew that the implications or the impact would be so great, right? I mean, you brought Russell in, you would hope that he would fill some of that ball handling point guard play, but that's Cooper Flagg's job now. Anthony Davis had a relatively healthy season last year, but that's more of the exception, not the rule. So none of those. The vision was defense, right? The vision was Anthony Davis can be the main player on a defensive focused team, and that's what's going to win championships. And that sounds great. Like Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, that all sounds really nice, but you got to be able to score the ball too. And you got to be able to be available.
It kind of feels like what this team needs is a perennial all-star, light out shooter, like somebody who's frisky in the paint, can hit anybody anywhere at any time with a pass.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's calling up the Lakers being like, "Hey, can we do a trade backsies?"
Yeah. Undo, Control Z. All right, with Klay Thompson, Lorne.
Cooling off period?
Yeah. Can we, like, Commissioner, remember when you vetoed the Chris Paul trade to the where was it Chris Paul that got vetoed? Was it to LA?
He was going to go to the Lakers too, right?
But they vetoed that one. Maybe this one can get vetoed. But let's just talk about Klay Thompson here for a sec. I want to give you 3 possible teams that he ends up at the trade deadline. And I want you to tell me what's more likely, okay? Either he stays in Dallas, he's traded to the Lakers, or he's on the Warriors.
Look, I think if any of that's going to happen, he'd be going back to Golden State. And I don't know if they would send some, like a Gui Santos or even Gary Payton the second. Gary Payton's not playing a whole lot and it's not barely getting in the roster. If you had Klay running along, like hobbling around, giving you 2 or 3 threes a game, would that be enough to bring the band back together? I mean,
look, 2 or 3 threes a game is more than what Buddy Hield is.
I don't think the Warriors do it though. I don't think it would come back. I think he's in Dallas.
Stays in Dallas, yeah. It'd be fun though. I don't think it would be actually good for the locker room, but because it doesn't sound like he's the most happies of players these days.
No, I mean, could you imagine? You get yourself sort of sent somewhere else. You leave a team because you feel like you're underappreciated. You go to the team that you've had basically a rivalry with, and you pull a Kevin Durant and go to the team that was in the finals the year before, and then it flames out in spectacular fashion. Not only do you have a roller coaster of a season, they end up trading the guy that you've gone to sign up with, and then it just goes from bad to worse. Like, if he wants to play, he's got to go to like Charlotte or somewhere where he can get as many shots as he wants and is not really going to affect anything. But I can't imagine that would make you even more happy.
But the silver lining, I guess, for him is through all of this, he's still got Megan Thee Stallion. He's still got that relationship.
Yeah. And he will have a statue somewhere in San Francisco one day.
And 4 championships.
Yeah, that's right. So it's not like he had a bad career.
And he's making millions of dollars, so I'm sure he'll be okay. One thing that shocked me here, Lorne, I was looking at the standings, and is there a team that is quieter in terms of news cycle than the Detroit Pistons? They're first in the East. They're 8-2. Nobody's talking about Detroit.
Wow. I mean, they put the Sixers on notice today. They stormed back and Cade Cunningham put that team on his shoulders, and they got a really impressive win today. I wonder if it's by virtue of being in Detroit, like the NBA likes to promote the Warriors. They like to promote New York and Los Angeles teams and so forth. The Bulls have that legacy connection to Jordan and so forth. The bad boy Pistons and what the malice at the palace. You want to kind of sweep that under the rug a little bit, and it's a little bit murky in Detroit. But this team is giving them a bright spot, and it's not that far away from this team only winning 14 games in a whole season. This is like 2-3
Yeah.
years since. Man, they've snuck up, and I was like you. I was surprised to see that they're the number one team in the East, but deservedly so. They've strung together some really impressive wins.
And I was looking at the MVP odds for MVP this year, and where like Cade Cunningham at the moment, it'd be surprising if he wasn't a top 5. Let me just
Yeah, the race to the MVP, like the MVP tracker. Where do you sit with that? Do you like it? Do you like the fact that there's a poll that is updated every week in real time to see who's the top MVP candidate, or do you like it going to the vote at the end of the year?
well, I think the whole sort of award is a little bit of a joke. Um, uh, Not so much as it is in the NFL, but just like how it's voted upon, like how much media has a say versus I think the whole voting process is really silly in my opinion. And the fact that a player won't get MVP just because he's won it twice in a row, like Jokic could have 3 MVPs right now, but he's only got 2 because I believe voters fatigue. Um, but I think it is maybe MVP is the wrong conversation to have, but who is just performing at a level that is propelling their team to victory? And Cade Cunningham at the moment, uh, first in the East, you've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's actually obviously the number 1 odds to win MVP right now. But I just feel like the Pistons aren't getting the respect that they deserve right now, especially it's not super surprising because they were that up and coming team last year. And it's just been refreshing to see sometimes that happens, right? Where a team has one of those years that they're like this, and then they come back to what their reality was before. And sort of like Orlando, like I'd say that's Orlando right now. They had
Hmm.
that hype, right? They're going to be a top 3 team in the East. And I mean, talk about a surprise team.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
not good.
I was surprised. I've been surprised by Orlando, and I kind of wonder if they're the Indiana Pacers of the 2025-2026 season, in which they will take some time to solidify their identity and get into a bit of a flow before they start winning some games. Um, but yeah, I was expecting them to do better. I was looking at Cade Cunningham's statistics though, and despite their team at 10 games in being the top of the East, there are a couple of players who are performing at a higher level. So, I guess on the one hand, yes, you do take your team's standing into consideration. That will always be the argument. You have to take the best player on the best team. Um, that's not always where the award goes. But one of the things that I was texting you before we were getting on the show is Josh Giddey's been balling, and his assists and rebound numbers are outperforming Cade Cunningham, and his shooting percentage, especially his 3-point shooting percentage, has been better than Cade's as well this year. And I don't think that there were many pundits in the NBA blogosphere that were thinking that the Chicago Bulls would be a top 4 team in the East at any stage of the season. And yes, I know that we're like 9, 10 games in, but I think most people would have said, "Well, the Bulls are stuck in mediocrity. They're not going anywhere, and they should be happy if they were in 7th position and vying for the play-in." Those guys have been balling. And Josh Giddey, apart from being crossed over and absolute shot in the ankles today, has been playing phenomenal basketball. It's great to see an Aussie lead a team like that.
An Aussie who almost didn't get a contract. I think I said this last week that it was a late restricted free agent signing where looking at it now, silly. Like he's 21 points a game, 9 assists, almost 40% on threes, which you wouldn't think Josh Giddey is a strong 3-point shooter, but um yeah, he's just, unless I'm looking at the wrong stats, maybe I'm just looking at his history against the Spurs. I'm just looking at their next game here, but he is he is playing at a level that I don't know if even the Bulls expected, right? Like I'm sure the Bulls are pleasantly surprised at the a 6-3 record. I mean,
But
you're
that is
right.
something that he
Who would have
showed at the
thought that?
end of last season, and that's the
Yeah.
surprising thing. One of the things that I've really like when Josh Giddey came into the league, to be honest, I found him hard to watch. A little bit loose with the basketball, kind of all over. Felt like he was a little bit dazed and shell shocked when he got into the league, brushing his hair between plays more than anybody probably should have. But the thing that I've come to really admire about his game is that he is so competitive. You see it in the Olympics where he would just go and get aggressive and get in guys' faces and not back down from a challenge. And he hated to lose, absolutely hated to lose. And you see that translating and into the Chicago Bulls. And he's come from a culture in which the first 2 or 3 years in the league with the OKC Thunder have given him an expectation about what it means to compete at the highest level. And if watching those boys lift the trophy last year didn't light a fire under his butt, I don't know what will, because that would have stung like you wouldn't believe, like just being that close. And you never know if you'll have another opportunity in your career. He's come out with a vengeance. It's fantastic to see.
Do you think it's real? The Bulls? Do you think the Bulls are real?
This is a really, really great question. I mean, they're 6-4. They've won their last two. Um, the Eastern Conference is so wide open. Like if they're playing a majority of their games against the Pacers and the Hornets, they go back and forth with the Celtics a bit, and they've got the Raptors and so forth. Like it's not inconceivable for them to be above the play-in and sit in the sixth position. Are they better than the 76ers and the Bucks for the whole year? I don't know. But at this stage of the competition, I think that they're probably outperforming the Heat a little bit. They certainly have the Raptors numbers. I'm waiting to see whether or not the Magic and the Hawks are going to rise up a little bit here. But I think they've got a shot to avoid the play-in. This could be a really interesting first round series. If you've got Chicago, you wouldn't really want to play against them. They've just got a lot of options and a lot of young, hungry players.
I just want to read out their next 14 games. I'll do this really quick, but
Yeah, right.
I only see a couple losses in their next 14 games. So they've got San Antonio coming up. It's going to be a tough one, but we'll get into that a little bit. Wemby seems to, apparently the NBA's figured him out now. No, but Wemby has come back to earth a little bit. They've got De'Aaron Fox back. I think, yeah, so that one might be a loss. And then Detroit. So you might have 2 losses in a row. We'll see. Um, what's the date today? Yeah. And then you've got Utah. That's a win. Denver, we'll say it's a loss. And then you got Portland, Miami, Washington, New Orleans, Charlotte, Indiana, Orlando, Brooklyn, Indiana. Like you're going
That
to
is
have maybe a
that is
500 week, and then you've just got like 10 straight wins.
yeah, that puts them in really good space, in the front end of the season. And I think, you know what they say? They say what November and December are the hardest months in the NBA, right? 10 games in, you're kind of over the novelty of the start of a new season. And now you're just banking games waiting till, you know, March, right? Where things start to get a little bit more frisky. And so this is a really important part of the season to really get those wins under your shoulder or under your belt. But it's also an opportunity to really, you know, see what you've got. And unlike the Warriors, for example, who even against a lowly 1-win Pacers, who ironically beat them a couple weeks ago, The Warriors just look like in some sections of the game that they're not interested in being there. Draymond does not look motivated to play and win these games. Jimmy Butler is like sighing because he's got to put the team on his back. And it seems like some of the stuff that Kuminga was getting away with, teams are starting to be able to design away from. And so that's a very different approach to a season that a team that has everything to prove and hasn't been to those high stakes games but wants to. And I think that's what's got that's on the Chicago Bulls' favor.
Yeah, 100%. I can't stand when the Warriors do what they're doing right now. One thing I think I've learned about Jonathan Kuminga is that he needs Steph Curry. Like the stats of Kuminga playing when Curry doesn't play, sometimes, yeah, he's gone off, but the last 2 games, man, like you wanted to bet on yourself, you wanted to show the league your value, and you're putting single digit points in, you're not rebounding, you're not assisting, and maybe that's the floor spacing. You don't, there's not as much space on the floor for him to fill up the lane and go one on one, but yeah, he's not producing like somebody that wants to get that next big contract at
Well,
the
I
moment.
mean, he did get his big contract, right? He's got 2 years of this big contract. And yes, it's maybe not as big as what he wanted, but the audition is still there. And so I would hope that he would be, finding his groove in this team and really, getting back up. And I think this comes back to something that we've talked about before, in which you've got Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Draymond Green as your core nucleus of a team. And, you know, they have been in game sevens in the playoffs, deep runs. They're championship level guys. Jimmy hasn't got over the hump yet, but he's played in the NBA finals. These guys love that pressure. And, to get to that standard for the rest of the team, that's a hard thing to do. But that motivation, the locker room does not need a bored, irritated Draymond Green who wishes that it was March. Absolutely not.
Yeah. I I just don't get it. There's a disconnect there. Like he wants the results, but just seems he said this before on a podcast. He said, "You're expecting me to get up in a game in Memphis when Ja Morant is out? Like, I'm not going to be going." It's hard to get up for those games. Like Draymond Green has admitted publicly that he struggles to give his all on games where it's not the bright lights and the biggest stage. And I totally get that, but you're not going to get those bright lights or that biggest stage if you are not putting in the work, especially early in the season when you're still a little bit fresh. But last week, I think Laura and I said the Warriors would go like 5-0 between our 2 podcasts. I think they went 1-4. So winning.
Yeah. Yeah, you were pretty optimistic about being on the top of the roller coaster. And I think this team is going to be a little bit more bumpy for us this season. It's going to be rough for Warriors fans.
Yeah, I mean, to be
I
fair,
think
Curry's
there's-
been out with the flu.
yeah, yeah. But no, it'll be interesting. This team still is waiting to get D'Anthony Melton back. I wonder what would happen when you add in another lights out shooter if they do end up getting Seth Curry. And but there are just moments where they just feel like they're so sloppy, just so sloppy. Turnovers and just lackadaisical possessions and just not boxing out for defensive rebounds. It just drives me nuts. Like guys being able to get defensive rebounds on them in transition and second chance opportunities. It's just for a team that has those aspirations and is so quick to get into the media, if it's Seth Curry, if it's Draymond Green, if it's Jimmy Butler, and say we are a championship team, clean up the bad habits. Just clean it up. Go hang a 50-point win on somebody, please. Show us.
Well, Al Horford hit some threes today, so that's a bonus. But the West, like you said, you can't be affording to take these games off. And the Lakers specifically, at the moment, they're a top 3 team. Luka's been balling out, like we've said, and I've been wondering this. What do they look like when LeBron returns?
Do you think
Is
it gets
that
better
going
or it gets more complicated?
complicated?
You think so?
Yeah, I don't know. Is LeBron willing to take a back seat to Luka? And it's one thing to say it, but to your role has to drastically change, in my opinion, or at least the rotation has to drastically change, right? Where no longer are you trying to play LeBron and Luka on the floor like as much as you can, but maybe Lucas keeps the rotation that he's in and LeBron mans that second unit a little bit more. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know if I see LeBron manning the second unit so much because I feel like that's a time when they need to get up and down the floor a little bit faster and try and push the ball a little bit more. I think one of the the brilliant things about LeBron is that over and again in his career, he's been able to figure out what the team needs and action that. Um, Now, normally that's him performing at an incredibly high level, and scoring a lot as well. But he's a pass first aggressive player. And I think at this stage of his career, if he can get away from running all the time and orchestrate, off the ball and be available for, spot up 3-pointers and, dribble drive to get to the basket for timely dunks, that will be like the impact plays that can swing momentum. And I feel like if you have to, um, if you are trying to double Luka and you have to leave Austin Reeves dominating or LeBron James in order to do that, you're picking your poison. That's a tough quandary to be in.
Yeah. No, it is, but I struggle to think that LeBron James will be able to play off the ball. I know he's like an all like top two greatest players of all times, but this is something that he has never had to face. They tried it in Miami a little bit, and then Dwayne Wade had to say, "No, you're the man. Like you take the offense." Like it has not worked, or since probably middle school or elementary school, he's been the man. So
You
I
know what
just
the
think it's a
difference? You
huge
know what the
question.
difference is now?
What?
Like, I don't want to run after kids like at my age. I'm not 40 yet, but I don't want to run after kids anywhere on the basketball court, in the garden, at the playground. If you're 40-year-old and you're running after like 18, 19-year-old legs, guys at the peak of their athletic capabilities, no thanks. That's the big difference, though, is that I think if you play in the long game here, you come in and play those impact minutes, you can still like 18 points is what? 2, 3, 6, and then you have to put in two or shots a quarter for a whole game. You can average 18 to 20 and still do your job at a high level. I don't think that that's beyond him. And of all the players who can make it happen, I think it's him. The problem will be defense on the defensive end.
Mm,
But I think
yeah.
if you're scoring 130, how much defense do you really need to play?
Well, let me just tell you the options that they have if they're all on the floor together. Dominating, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, LeBron James. I don't know if that's only 130 points. Like that's not much defense. That might be like getting 150 on them.
Well, yeah, that's what you're hoping. You're hoping that people will shoot below 40% from three against you, and you'll be able to corral most of the rebounds, the defensive rebounds, and then hopefully play the numbers game. You do the Celtics and shoot enough threes, you should be able to
Of
hang with
course.
anybody, right?
Oh man. So I'm looking into my crystal ball, and it's the end of the season. Are the Lakers a top five team or top four team? Sorry, are they a home court advantage team? It's
Man,
early, I know. I know it's early.
look, I think if the edge is between the Lakers and the Rockets, I think I give it to the Rockets. Um,
Mm.
Between the Lakers and the Timberwolves, I think the Lakers. I don't think the Trailblazers will be sniffing the seventh seed at the end of the year. But then
You think they'll fall off?
I think they'll cool off. But that's the crazy thing here is that you know, these teams compared to the Eastern Conference are so bunched up between the second and the ninth seed that it anything can happen with some of these teams. I don't think the Grizzlies will have a phenomenal year. I think maybe the Clippers, the age is catching up to them. Kings, Mavericks, Pelicans, and Jazz. Oh, but yeah, it's not inconceivable that they'll be in the top. Oh, home court, maybe not. Avoid the play-in. I think that that's a realistic thing. What do you think?
I think the Lakers. Obviously, this is all health related. I uh, I think they'll probably finish in the top 6. I don't know about the top 4. Um, just because of yeah, just health. I guess they're young. I'm just thinking of LeBron here, and he hasn't even played, and they're 7-3. But Houston will just get better, right, with reps.
All right.
Minnesota, you're 6-4, and Anthony Edwards has missed some time. Portland, I agree, they're gonna fall off. Um, I do want to make this my thing because I want to get to the end of the season and say I never lost faith. Phoenix Suns, I believe, will be a top 8 team this year.
All
Everyone
right.
has them penciled in for crap, for bottom of the table. But I don't know. I
Look,
think Phoenix, I think Devin Booker is exactly how he likes it. I think he likes to be the man, the top dog, the alpha dude. He
so
likes to be able to take a lot of
do you think that
sorry.
he's been offering bad advice to Jalen Green about that hamstring? Oh, you're injured. Oh, it's too bad. I got this masseuse. Just
Dude, do you see Dylan and Dylan Brooks? No, 0 minute, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 1 technical against the Warriors. So
yeah, that would
funny.
be right. He loves the Warriors.
But they're 5-5. Like they're not Dallas. The Clippers are healthy. They're 3-6. Utah, Sacramento, like I don't know. I think they're better than Memphis. I think they're switch out Portland and Phoenix for me.
You know what? I think I yeah, I can see that. The only team that is in this bottom 5 that I think really has a chance of riding their ship is the Clippers. I think there's so much, firepower on that team, even if it is a little bit old, that they could easily go on a bit of a run. But you're right. When I'm looking at some of these teams and what's been happening in their games and in their locker rooms, so forth, I just think maybe the Suns are better than I gave them credit for. Maybe this is Ishbia finally moving on from the absolute disaster of Bradley Beal, who had a pretty significant revenge game against the Suns the other day. I think he tabled 6 points or something like that. But you're right. You're right. Maybe there's a little bit more room at the bottom end of this conference. The top end, this top 6 to 8, is stacked. But then maybe we gave the Western Conference a little bit too much credit early on, and didn't account for some of the junkers down on the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, nobody saw the Clippers starting 3-6. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't see Dallas going 3-7. We all assumed that Utah would be bad. I think we put Portland in that and Sacramento.
Mm.
So yeah, I think as time goes, but yeah. So you think Clippers out of that bottom sort of 6 teams might be the one to jump up? You don't think Dallas? Do you think Dallas will right the ship at all?
We're still waiting a long time for Kyrie to come back. If
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is not regularly in the rotation, that doesn't bode well for them. Unless just they haven't been healthy at the right time. I think this start has been pretty morale killing for them. I think they need a good couple of games against some teams in the East just to maybe loosen them up a little bit. But I just don't see it this year as being a significant year for the Mavs.
Man. Poor Dallas. So we've got Indiana, Lorne.
Mm.
We've got Washington, and we've got Brooklyn, 1-9. Out of those three, and you can add the Pelicans if you want. So out of those four, you asked this question. I want to hear your answer. Who wins 5 games first?
I want to say the Pacers figure it out because there were moments, and especially their first game against the Golden State Warriors, where they looked so good. Nembhard been playing exceptionally well, and I want to see them carry over a little bit more enthusiasm after their finals run. Don't forget, Siakam is still on that team. I didn't see him play today, but you've still got Siakam. You've still got, a bunch of those guys have rolled over from that championship winning team. I know that they don't have Halliburton, and they waived Wiseman at the start of the year, which is a bit rough for them. But um, but I still hope that they can string along a couple of really good wins. If Cam Thomas is injured for Brooklyn, uh, that will be a little bit unfortunate for them. Michael Porter Jr., I think he's doing exactly what I expected for that Brooklyn team. But yeah, it's sad for the Wizards to lose 8 in a row. So hopefully, I think it'll be the Pacers first to 5 in that group.
Yeah, I agree. Um, Washington's a sad franchise. Like they haven't been good really since I started following NBA. Like they had the Paul Pierce year, John Wall for a little bit, but really them and the Hornets, these teams, what is it about these teams that just can't get out of the basement, that are just stuck in mediocrity or even just uh bad? Is it ownership? Is it culture? Is it nobody wants to play in these places? I don't know, but they just never seem to be competing.
I think there are a couple of markets in which you will always have a lucrative team because ticket sales are always going to be high. So for example, Washington DC, you're always going to have diplomats, you're always going to have like lobbyists, you're always going to have people with money in the arena that are maybe really highly transient and are coming and going quite a lot. And so it's a very different sort of franchise setup in a city like that to Philadelphia, for example. And these people who have been riding with that team their whole entire life and will criticize ownership if things aren't going wrong and will make their presence felt. I think Toronto is typically a sports city that's like that as well. I know the Blue Jays have did really well this year, but the argument could be said about the Toronto Maple Leafs, um, and even the Toronto Raptors to the same extent. Like we did have that championship window where we really got lucky with a couple Warriors injuries. I think that would have been lights out. Um, and having Kawhi on a rental year was really fantastic. But that city as well, just super high ticket prices, lots and lots of big corporate money in that area, and it kind of lets them off the hook. Like the teams are profitable regardless of the record, and will stay profitable regardless of the record. And it's not the same kind of groundswell of pressure. Although I guess the only difference in Canada is that for franchises that are in leagues where there's only one Canadian team, like the Blue Jays and the Raptors, you've got a whole country behind you. And I wonder if that's maybe why it's different in the NHL, where Winnipeg's grateful to have a team again. Montreal, you've got the habitants, the diehard Canadiens fans that will be with that franchise for, oh, we can't wait to hang another one in the rafters because we're the record holders, sort of thing. But it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, NBA needs to expand into Canada. Like, let's get Vancouver another team. Grizzlies should have never left Vancouver. I think yeah, Vancouver needs to have a team. But I got one more question before we sign off here, and I'm going to talk about this in another podcast later this week. But right now, I think the theme of the NBA is parity, right? Other than a couple bad teams on any given night, a team can win. because there's so much talent, there's so much parity, and there's salary cap rules. It's a hard cap now. Um, do you think that this is good for the NBA, or do you like the dynastic style? Right now, we've got the Thunder, like maybe they're in that category, but do you like the super team or do you like the parity?
Good question. Wearing a Blue Jays hat and having just lost to Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts over in Los Angeles and having a payroll that's $100 million less than the LA Dodgers, that grinds my gears. So the David and Goliath is a good story when David wins. um,
Or if you're the fan of the Goliath, like if that's your real team, that's
yeah,
always
that's
nice.
right. I mean, it's great for bandwagon fandom, right? And I wonder if there was a lot of Chicago Bulls fans, a huge number of Golden State Warriors fans, certainly Lakers fans, Celtics fans that may have been on that bandwagon. One of the things I do love about the parody, though, is that it gives the opportunity for small market franchises to win a championship. And what that can do for an entire culture of a city is phenomenal. Like, you think about the Detroit Lions and how they're starting to perform to a higher level. That franchise, for example, has been rough as guts for a long, long time. Same with Cleveland. When LeBron was able to win a championship for Cleveland, that was enormous. The thing that I don't like about the parody, though, and this is what I will say, is the way in which the salary cap has been moving is you've got smaller windows for players to make big contracts, which means the player movement is increased. And so while fans are loyal to their team, there's no culture of loyalty in and around the players in the same way. We've got a couple of exceptions. Nikola Jokic, you got Giannis in the same place, you got Steph Curry and so forth. But look at that Lakers roster for example. Like, the Lakers aren't going to be building a statue for Rui Hachimura if they win, right? The turnover, and I don't know how they are able to do it, but they always seem to get somebody. And that's the thing that I miss.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the second apron, you might see more movement in free agency, but trades are a bit more difficult these days. Money just has to match so perfectly, and so I wonder if we'll see a little bit less player movement, and in fact, teams that are bad maybe staying bad for longer because it is so much more difficult to trade these days. And depending on your salary cap situation and if you're over or under. But I think I wonder if teams, especially if they don't have their draft picks, might be bad for longer than, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I just wonder what, in terms of ratings of the league and how many people are watching like TV ratings, if it's going to go up or if it's going to go down. I guess time will tell and we'll never know. Well, we won't know until it happens, but
Yeah.
I will say that I was a fan of the sort of juggernaut team, the team that everybody's like eyeing out for. And like I said, Oklahoma City Thunder, thanks to um the Clippers, are that team and will continue to be that team because they have so many assets. They have so many young players. Their second best player, which would be the best player on a number of teams in the NBA, isn't even playing, and they've only lost one game because they didn't play their players in that one game. Like the Thunder are, it's not cheating. Like they rightfully so, they got there. They're a very well run organization. Their GM's got to be the best in the NBA. Just how you've been able to go from Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, to not just be really bad for a long time, but turn the whole thing around as well to have probably the next 10 years um, of relevancy at least is an impressive thing. So you got to love the
It
Thunder.
is it is such a remarkable thing. There's such a well-run organization, and I think that is one of the biggest what if in sports. if James Harden, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, and Kendrick Perkins stay together at that stage of their careers for an extra couple of years. Wow, what could have been? What could have been?
Just don't add
But
Perkins into that. Come on.
hey, but
Kendrick
you
Perkins.
got to have a guy who knows his role. Muscle up the front, grab the rebounds, let the other guys eat.
Give a mean mug. Give the mean mug.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a great starting point. If you have all of those players that have turned into perennial all-stars, you've been able to hoard assets and draft capital. But you're right. You're right. I think that's where it gets really interesting because you still have to draft well. You've seen even in when Warriors had the number 2 pick, you'd taken James Wiseman, and unfortunately he's out of the league now. Um, so it's not always a guarantee. Jokic was what, a 51st pick, and he's transformed that franchise. So there's still a significant amount of luck in it, but yeah, it's really interesting thinking about how do you set up a product that is going to be. The only way that I would say that if you had a system and you could move towards like a tiered system like what they have over in the UK for football, for example, or Europe for football, in which teams were promoted and demoted. So say you took out the bottom 5 teams in each conference, you had 10 teams in each conference, and the lowest 2 on each were going to be demoted every year.
Like relegated
That
to Australia?
Yeah, relegated, or you had to go into the G League, and the G League became its own secondary subsidiary or whatever. And yeah, all these teams have these partner teams and so forth. Actually, speaking of the G League, I didn't realize that Victor Oladipo is balling again. I saw some highlights of him playing with his Chinese team,
Yeah.
and somebody in the comments was like, "I can see that guy's better than 13 players on the Charlotte Hornets." But yeah, Warriors had his rights too, and they just traded him to the Milwaukee Bucks G League affiliate.
We had Oladipo's right?
Yeah, he was playing for the Santa Cruz Warriors for a little bit.
How did that happen?
Yeah,
I wonder
it's a
what
good
trade
question.
that was a part of. That would have been a part of a trade of some sort. Yeah, same with JaVale McGee over here, right? Dominating. It's amazing how good the NBA is that a 9th man on a bench can go to another country and be an MVP. It's pretty spectacular. So, well, I unless you've got anything else you want to talk about, it's NBA's been great and Warriors just need to turn it around. It's really my mood gets grim when we're in a lull. So I'm truly well and truly at the bottom of the roller coaster right now, and we need to pick me up. Even after a win
Here's my
today.
last
No wins
here's
don't
my
feel like a
last
win.
gripe. Here's my
Yeah.
last gripe. I got to get it off my chest. I just remembered. What is up with the NBA schedule makers? It's
Oh,
it's we're not even 10 games in, and the Warriors are done their season series with Indiana, and there's a whole bunch of teams that they haven't played yet. They're going to do a baseball style 2-game stand with the San Antonio Spurs. Come on, man. That's
I
not
think
I it drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely nuts that they could be completing series with other teams in the year, and they're 10 games in and of an 82 game season. You got to spread that. That's just unfair. Steph's got the flu, he misses a game, and then there are no second chances to beat another team. Come on, you got to fix that. You can't have teams completing a season series 10 games into a season. It's absolutely nuts. Come on, Silver, you got to fix it.
Adam Silver does not like the Golden State Warriors. I am convinced. I don't know. They must have the most back-to-backs because they've got the Thunder on Wednesday or Thursday, no, Wednesday for us, sorry. And then the next day they've got the Spurs, and then they've got the Spurs again. Like too many back-to-backs, you're right. Too many getting the season series done too early. I'm glad you got that off your chest. Do you feel better?
I'm going to be able to sleep a lot better now. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
yeah.
that, John.
Well, thanks for this, Lauren. Really appreciate it.
All good. All good.
All right.
I'll see you next
Good
week.
night.